Mirasee. Scaling does not mean that you necessarily have to sell your course to 10 times as many people as you do today. That is possible for some people, but in many markets, that's not going to be a good fit, or that would be incredibly difficult to do. And so thinking instead about what are other market needs that you can serve, and what are the business models you can use that would fit with them.
Hello and welcome to Course Lab, the show that teaches course creators like you how to make better online courses. I'm Ari Eni, the director of growth at Mirasee, and today I am not in the studio with Abe Crystal, the co-founder of Zuku, who is my co-host. Abe will be joining me later for the debrief, but I will be having this conversation on my own and looking forward to it. In each episode of Course Lab, we showcase a course and creator who is doing something really interesting, either with the architecture of their course or the business model behind it, or both. Today, we welcome Leslie Sim to the show. Leslie is a visionary executive at Out of the Box CIO and co-creator of the Transformadox Methodology. They're dedicated to helping individuals and organizations achieve transformative growth. She empowers teams with strategic planning to create operational efficiency, and her innovative approach focuses on productivity, leadership, and systems thinking. Welcome, Leslie.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here.
Awesome. So the way that I always kick off these interviews is by asking you, could you give us the 30,000 foot view of yourself, how you came to be doing what you're doing, and how you came to the world of online courses?
Yeah, thank you so much. My personal background is I graduated in computing science. And all my life, I've been blessed to have been offered wisdom and guidance for my career through others offering me new jobs. In 40 years, I only applied for 2 jobs in my whole life. Within a year of graduating, I started being offered jobs as a business analyst instead of computing science developer. I was offered jobs in project management and areas of operation where operations were failing, in particular in banking and property management and then national manufacturing companies. I was what they called a project management and operational failures troubleshooter. Where there was a problem, they punted me in all across the country.
Nice.
Then I started a family, and being sent across the country for weeks at a time wasn't working so well for our family life. And I started looking, where could I still be a contribution at the level I was contributing and not have to travel so much? So I started in the departments of education and post-secondary education. Within 4 years, I was actually offered the Chief Information Officer position, or CIO position, with advanced education. And then later, other portfolios were included in my portfolio, including innovation, technology, labor force, and the economy. I was really blessed with a broad range of different industries, from government perspective as well as private industry. My teams won multiple national and provincial awards for efficiency, effectiveness, innovation, and information-based decision-making. In 2010, I became one of the first 40 certified trainers and facilitators in crucial conversations. And that's when I also started coaching and mentoring other chief information officers in the industry and individuals through multiple different coaching programs. So I do have over 14 years of coaching and mentoring as well, which I was guided into. 2015, I decided to leave the government. So I spent 2 years just spending time working on me and deciding who I was, what my strengths were, what my superpowers were, and where my passion was. In 2017, we rebranded my partner's 20-year-old management consulting firm to Out of the Box CIO. We decided we were going to focus on small and medium-sized businesses to help them discover and understand what was missing in them expanding and growing their business, because they are the economic engine for our province and for the Canadian economy. And the statistics were showing that by 2030, 60% of small, medium-sized businesses would no longer exist in this new digital economy. So we rebranded. We created a methodology called Transformadox, designed specifically on helping small, medium-sized business owners. And the methodology helps business owners self-assess 56 business capabilities based on 8 international best practices. And we designed it so it doesn't take a lot of time. and it doesn't take a lot of money because small, medium-sized business owners don't have time and don't have money. Our methodology looks at the holistic business, its practices, operations, and use of information and technologies. And clients assess themselves. The process allows the client to learn about what business practices should be inside an organization that's running at an optimized level. And they assess where they're strong and where they have gaps. Because they're assessing themselves, they understand the report, they identify their own risks and their own opportunities over the next 5 years.
Mhm.
The power of our assessment service is really in the expose process phase, which is a workshop. As the facilitator, I use voting technology where we bring up on the screen and we ask some questions to the business participants. A question might be, I receive all financial reports for all of our projects. Everybody in the room then votes whether they've never seen it.
That's true for them or not.
Yeah. So if Joe votes that I've never seen a financial report for our projects, level 0, and Sally votes, I see it on a repeatable basis. Then I stop and I facilitate a conversation. And the conversation might go something like this. Joe has never seen a financial project management report. Do we all agree it would add value for Joe to be efficient and effective at his job to see this information? And if so, if they say yes, then what's been the impact that Joe didn't have this information on Joe being efficient and effective? What's been the impact on the organization that Joe didn't have this information? And we have that conversation. So they're identifying their own risks.
Interesting.
Now that we see what's been missing, what opportunities do you now see that you could change over the next 5 years to bridge these information gaps? So by using the voting technology where there's agreement in the organization or it's clearly a strength, we don't waste time talking about it. That's how we focus on what's not working, and we can do it in a very limited amount of time in a 5-hour workshop.
And are these workshops in person or are they online or either way?
Both. They can be online and in person. Yep.
And has that been a shift? So you were talking about the rebrand happening in 2017. Have you been running these kinds of workshops since then?
Yeah, we've been running the workshop since 2017, mostly in person. COVID was an opportunity to start having business owners being comfortable with running them online and virtual or hybrid. Since COVID, of our clients choose hybrid approach, but we still do personal and we still do fully virtual.
Fully online?
Yeah. So as a performance management improvement company, we eat our own dog food and we measure the results. So here's some results that we received in the workshops. 93% agree or strongly agree that they identified risks they weren't aware of before. 62.8% agreed or strongly agreed that they could now explain something they'd been trying to say and now they felt heard. There's a lot of team building and mutual understanding created. 95.3% agreed they found gaps in information sharing, and 51.2% said that they found between 6 and 10 gaps in information sharing. Now, we assert that the gaps in information sharing is actually the root cause of lack of inefficiency and ineffectiveness. And the symptom that shows up quite often is we're told in the beginning, we don't communicate well. It's not that they don't communicate well. They just aren't sharing the right information at the right time, at the right place for somebody to be efficient and effective at their job. Somebody has to reach out to multiple people to gather the information in order to do their job.
So I have questions about how you get into these organizations, because it sounds like in order for people to want to bring you in, they need to have some clarity around, how things aren't working as well as they'd like things to be working. And so what is your process for selling into organizations? I'm assuming it is mainly on the B2B side. So you're selling into an organization versus to an individual that goes through a program that you have. Is that right?
Yeah. So for our assessment service, it's been predominantly up until 2022 through referrals, through our referral partners and referrals of our clients. In 2022, the federal government actually created a program called the Canadian Digital Adoption Program that paid 15% of our assessment service for small, medium-sized businesses to hire us.
Oh, wow.
And that program ran from 2022 until 2024. The business owner would apply for the grant, and there was an online digital marketplace to select your approved and certified digital advisor, of which we were the first in Canada to go through the program with a client because we'd already been doing exactly that kind of work since 2017. Now, I know that the podcast is about online courses. How does this fit with online courses?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Many of our business clients, in particular our technical leaders, were asking, because of our results, can you teach me how to have these kind of results and deliver it ongoingly for my organization? And so they were asking me to create a masterclass. So in 2021, I ran the pilot of our first masterclass program to teach the Transformadox methodology to leaders. I continued to offer one masterclass a year, 2021, 22, and 23, instead of expanding and growing that masterclass because of the high volume we were having for the assessment service because of the federal grant. I was only offering one masterclass a year just to keep it going.
Right.
And how I delivered the masterclass was through PowerPoint slides and Teams discussion boards, a very manual approach. Since the end of the CDAP program, my business owners have been asking me to create a masterclass for Transformadox for them to continue to lead the methodology over the next 5 years. So expansion and growth of my masterclass meant I needed a new tool rather than just delivering online through PowerPoint slides. So we're expanding our masterclass. We've now been launching a pilot program in October for our business clients, free of charge, to come into discussion forums and talk about what they're dealing with each other and get free coaching from me in these discussion boards, as well as offering ongoing masterclass expansions for both technology leaders and business leaders and owners. We're right at the precipice of our growth phase.
Interesting. And so help me understand, what is the path forward? What is the structure? Because it sounds like what you're saying, you want to be teaching these business leaders to using the methodology internally themselves. So is it just about giving them essentially the course materials for them to go through themselves? Is it about empowering them through giving them materials to then take their employees and their teams through? What's the process going to look like in your support of these leaders?
Yeah. So the masterclass format is 4 hours of self-study, which they use voting technology. I give them some materials to study, and they assess themselves using the voting technology that has them really think about, become conscious of what's working and what's not working inside their organization as a discovery process. And there's 4 hours of peer group coaching where they bring to the table the challenges they're facing and how the methodology could help or how they could help each other as peers. Also, part of the program is really focusing on creating accountability and responsibility with each other. So I, as a coach and facilitator, I teach them about accountability and responsibility so they make commitments to each other and they follow through with each other. And they also create a project that they apply to the methodology as they're learning it. I work with them one-on-one on identifying the goals and outcomes they want in the program, and they have to sit in hot seats with myself and their peers as part of those accountability forums in the peer groups around what they did and what they didn't do that fits with their project. So it's also what we call an experiential learning program, where they have a project, they're learning about the methodology, they have accountability partnerships and make commitments.
This is pretty hands-on for you at this point. Is the intention for it to be less so as time goes on? And I do hear, there is a lot of peer support as well, so it's not all on you. How do you see this evolving? And as you're going through this process, what do you feel you've learned about how it would work best moving forward?
Great question. We, in the last 2 weeks, have just been requested by two individuals, management consulting individuals, if we would certify them in our methodology. So they're already coaches in other programs. And because of the success and the outcomes of the methodology that they've seen and heard about, they're asking if we'll certify them in delivering the methodology. And so that is what we're currently exploring. Because we have the Rizuko licensing in that, we can recreate the programs over and over again with multiple guides in the same business model format. And the new coaches, mentors, and guides can start delivering the methodology with us.
That's great. Okay. And so it sounds like you built your own program in addition to working within other organizations and supporting other organizations yourselves. You're seeing this expanding further through kind of a train the trainer model, certifying people and allowing them through, they'll be paying you certain fees, but then they have this business that they're going on to build themselves.
Yeah. And the first step we've started creating the certification process model is to go through the masterclass themselves.
Mhm.
And one of the other key components in being certified is being certified in a coaching program as well.
Right.
Because the facilitation process is really key, being able to facilitate those conversations in that workshop to get the outcomes we get within a 5-hour workshop.
Which is a pretty short time frame for the level of support and what you want them learning.
Yeah. So that's both the certification, that's in the assessment service, the 5-hour workshop. But the principles are exactly the same inside the masterclass. It's just you're working with individuals on their own goals and outcomes.
And so when you were saying in the past couple of weeks, people have been asking you for this. Was that a plan going into this, having the possibility of certifying others? Or is it more of a happy incident that people want this? And so you hear what people are wanting and asking for, and you're like, okay, great, let's do this because it looks like a good path forward for the business as well.
It was part of our expansion strategy. And in fact, we had other management consultants working with us, but they were more independent contractors delivering with us. That was our original expansion plan. But in the last couple of weeks, folks have brought it to our attention that they'd like to be certified and just do it on their own.
Interesting. Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, the original plan was you expanding your business, providing clients to contractors that you're bringing in to deliver for you. And now you're seeing people actually saying, hey, we want to build our own business, but let us use your methodology.
Yes.
That's awesome. Is it a matter of the intention being doing both or are you shifting your direction now?
I think it's both and the reason is the organizational assessment service is a perfect feeder group for clients to be exposed to it and want to learn how to do it ongoingly inside their organization. And the other way around, the masterclass participants take it back to their organization and tell their organization, we need to do an organizational assessment to bring everybody together.
So something that's coming to mind for me, or a direction that I'd like to ask you about, is this podcast is to support course creators in doing interesting things with their businesses. What do you feel has been valuable that you've learned from this process of having this methodology that you take people through and then going into this expansion phase? What are some lessons that you would want to share with people who are looking at doing something similar? If they have a methodology, it's working, and they want to expand to either bring in additional contractors or allowing others to be licensed to do so. What were some learnings from that process for you that you think are worth sharing?
I think the first part is find your purpose and your passion first. So we decided on our purpose and passion to help small, medium-sized businesses and business owners. We talked to them about what would be required to be able to help them. And it was designing something that didn't take a lot of time and didn't take a lot of money. So really interviewing those that you want to make an impact with and really listening to what they need had us design the methodology in a certain way that was fast and efficient and effective. And then continually staying open to new opportunities. like our leaders asking me to deliver a master class and start piloting doing a master class and not just doing the assessments. And then our business owners asking us to develop new business related programs that help them to implement their 5-year plan from their assessments. And then now listening to people going, will you certify me? I like this. I want to deliver it. Be open to being flexible and agile to what shows up.
That's awesome. And I appreciate how that aligns with what you were saying about your life journey as well. That, you applied to one role, opportunities came your way, and then you seized them. On the business front, you're advocating for a similar approach. Do the work, ask the questions, learn from the people you want to serve, and then let that guide you as opposed to, having that rigid plan that you're sticking to no matter what you're getting from the outside.
Yeah, and sometimes that means taking a risk. So, as we were doing while doing the assessments, and then I was asked to deliver the master classes, I had to take time to develop the master classes as a pilot, which took some revenue away, and we had to figure out how the cash flow was going to work. We actually have a term inside our methodology. We call it a crisortunity. A crisortunity is taking a crisis and flipping it into an opportunity. How you do that is look at both the risk and the opportunity side by side. Because as human beings, we're naturally risk adverse.
Uh-huh.
And many people teach methodology around doing risk assessments, but not putting the opportunity side by side. And how do you mitigate your risks to leverage the possibility of the opportunities that are available or showing up for you?
That's awesome. That's so important because a lot of entrepreneurs, they see the opportunity, but they sometimes do not look at both of those pieces side by side to make a measured decision. Especially people who are starting out get too stuck on the risks and then never end up moving forward. So I appreciate you bringing this up and highlighting it. Is there anything else that you'd like to share, any other lesson to the course creators or aspiring course creators that listen to the show?
I think it works for them to decide whether they're a specialist or a generalist. We are what we would call a generalist expert organization in that we look holistically at the broad organization. And while we can delve deep into some areas, we've chosen not to. We've decided to stay as a generalist. And then we have referral partners that specialize in helping our clients implement. So we've learned over time to stick to being more the generalist and do the 5-year plan and the assessment and all the recommendations and have referral partners do the implementation part.
It sounds to me it's about sticking to what you're really good at and what you're passionate about. It also goes back to having clarity around what you're excited about doing and sticking to those things because you're going to do that really, really well. And you're going to be excited about selling it. And you're going to be excited about marketing it and excited about drumming up more business in that way versus being pulled into, okay, the client is asking for this and I kind of need revenue. So sure, I'll do that too, even when it's not the core thing that you want to be known for. And so sticking with what you do want to be known for and what you want to be growing your business into, as opposed to just what's coming your way that may or may not fit your vision.
Yeah. And we found our referral partners that are specialists, when they're having troubles engaging a business client in their services, they actually refer them to us to do the big picture plan, which is a confirmation to the business owner that is an important thing they need to do over the next 5 years. The specialists and us work jointly together back and forth in whatever it is that the business owner intuitively feels they need, but they're not sure where to start or where to focus yet.
That's great. I love that as a way to build referral partners, relationships, and overall find better clients in that way. Leslie, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation with me. For people who want to learn more about you and Out of the Box CIO, where should they go?
They can go to www.outofthebox CIO.com.
That is amazing. There's also going to be a link directly to your calendar in the show notes for anyone who wants to book some time to explore.
Yes, I invite folks to spend an hour with me. I do free 1 hour discovery and coaching calls. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the conversation and just for being here and sharing your wisdom.
Now stick around for my favorite part of the show, where Abe and Ari will pull out the best takeaways for you to apply to your course.
All right, Ari, let's kick off the debrief. What stood out to you and how Leslie is approaching her courses and business?
Yeah, so something I found really interesting that I think is worth noting for entrepreneurs who are a bit more advanced and have potentially been running what they do for a while and have students who might actually want to teach what they learned is this idea of creating a certification, allowing for your best students, the people who really gained a lot from what they learned from you, to go out and market for you in a way, or market for themselves, help them build their own business and scale your own business through that. So that idea of either bringing in instructors who you can then pay a fraction of what it would cost you to do it yourself and then deliver, or certify people so that they can build their own businesses, but you got to kick back for everything that they do. Like, both of those options could be really interesting.
I think it's really helpful to just remind people that there's many paths to scaling a learning business. Like, scaling does not mean that you necessarily have to sell your course to 10 times as many people as you do today. That is possible for some people, but in many markets, that's not going to be a good fit, or that would be incredibly difficult to do. And so thinking instead about what are other market needs that you can serve, and what are the business models you can use that would fit with them. So certification, definitely one I think that people should look at, and that's kind of easier than ever to implement today. There's better tool support for it. So it's also helpful to remember that there are like multiple different revenue streams that might be applicable to different niches or different types of content that you create or teach, right? So, if you have 2 or 3 programs a day, for example, you might think about, okay, which of these could be adapted to certify other people and then license the content to them so they can coach or teach within their organization. So always be thinking about, like, how could this work downstream of who you are teaching directly?
Absolutely. And then the only other thing that came up for me is being open and listening to what your customers are saying, not only around course content and what you're delivering, but also around what else they want. What are they looking for? Because that'll just open the path to new offers, to new opportunities, as it did here for Leslie with the certification. People came to her asking to be certified, and that's why they went down that path, which is turning out to be valuable for them.
Right. And not assuming that you already have the solution or you know what form the solution needs to take, right? Like, it's the old idea of, if Henry Ford had asked his customers, just what's the solution? And they would said, oh, we want a faster horse, right? Like, they conceive of a gas powered vehicle that would replace the horse. So, like, listening for your customers' needs and problems, and not assuming that a program in the form that you currently have is the only solution.
Anything else?
That's all good. So you can find out more about Leslie Sim at outoftheboxcio.com. That's outoftheboxcio.com, and you'll find a link to that in the show notes. Thank you for listening to Course Lab. I'm Abe Bristol, co-founder and CEO of Riziku, here with my co-host Ari Iny. Course Lab is part of the Mirasee FM podcast network, which also includes such shows as Making It and Once Upon a Business. And of course, if you don't want to miss the excellent episodes coming up on Course Lab, please follow us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you're enjoying the show, we'd always appreciate a starred review. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. All right, Ari, who do we have coming onto the show next time?
Next time, we have Carol Mahoney on the show. She is also known as the sales therapist, as the founder of Unbound Growth, the author of Buyers First, and many other things. She's redefining how the sales industry views itself and how buyers perceive it, which I'm really looking forward to digging into and understanding more what that means.
Hopefully, she'll have a lot to share about how to sell people's courses.